Okay, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today we have another strap review for you. As you guys know, I'm quite a strap connoisseur as well as a huge watch collecting fanatic. Now, in this case, I really like what MKS NATO's has done here. They do have other offerings, but as far as kind of what I think is their standout product, it's going to be this one-piece NATO style strap. It's kind of in the middle of a raft strap / NATO, re-improved, redesigned, reimagined, and I think they've really done a great job. If you guys are fans of my Instagram and on my channel, you've probably seen these pop up here and there, and I just wanted to make sure I did a kind of full review of their whole line so you guys could see their different colorways and kind of different options and get a closer look at the material and the build. But I have to say I'm very impressed, and the best part is these actually come in at only like something like 12 euro, which is like 16 US dollars depending on the exchange rate, which is an insane value for money proposition. They are really luxurious and supple as far as the weave. I think you guys can tell, and you'll definitely get a look here when we start getting these in hand and on wrist, just how pliable and flexible these are, and really how sturdily constructed they are. And there's a lot of nice uniformity in the stitching. There's just so much to appreciate about these straps. I'm very impressed, and I definitely wanted to share them with you guys if you're looking for something like this. And the nice thing is, because they're actually so affordable, you can really mix and match these and you know, kind of run the whole gambit. So as you can see today, we are featuring a bevy of different Seikos. We have both of the Alpinists, the classic green dial and now the limited edition blue dial, and then we also have the mini turtle standing in as a nice black dial variant to kind of show the versatility of adding a strap with a little bit of color to something that really monochrome black and steel option. And I think it really does help set off the watch. And then of course the Alpinists, they're just infinitely versatile. Some people think of them as, you know, the most versatile watch, kind of in that under $1,000 around $500 range. And, you know, it's hard to argue with that. These things just can easily be dressed up, dressed down. They can be sporty, they can be casual, you know, and then they can also be very ornate looking and finely detailed for you to think that it's a little bit more dressy. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a closer look, get these in hand and on the wrist. All right, so let's go ahead and start out with the baby turtle here. So this is pretty much an example of how you can take a very classic monochrome black and steel setup and add a pop of color and really add so much more dimension. I think with the green on here, it's the perfect tone, super versatile, and it really gives it just a more military look. And you know, of course, with the full graduations and indexes around, this could easily be something you could use as like a military timer style watch, and it doesn't look like a mil sub. But it definitely carries a lot of those same traits with the instant legibility. Even have a Cyclops there for the date. So this is really great. And then of course the full minute indexes, so you can really keep track of things. And as you can see, this thing is just super thin, doesn't add a lot of bulk or heft to the case there. And then it is just extremely soft and just wow. This thing is super tightly woven, as you guys can see, down into the fibers, and then these holes are nicely sealed. You can see on the edges there, the runners, the way the stitching has been done, that really nice seatbelt style. Of course, with seatbelt style nylon, you can kind of go two directions. You can go really either that really soft, supple, or you can do the really thick and strong, and this definitely is leaning more towards the soft and supple side, but it's kind of in the nature of it to be very strong. So let's go ahead and quickly get this on the wrist here. As you can see on my 7 1/4 inch wrist, I'm just gonna go ahead and get this through. And the nice thing is, because they actually have replaced the extra hardware here for the keeper, you can just fold this back in, and it keeps you know, the whole setup very light and minimalist. You don't have a lot of other rings or collars or anything like that to worry about. You kind of just have this fabric piece which really blends in and kind of melts away on the wrist. So as you can see, really nice. I'm loving the color play on here, and it really adds a pop of color to something that normally would be, you know, a very monochrome but still extremely versatile piece. So I'm really loving that and digging how this looks. Really nicely done hardware. Actually, let me give it a quick wipe. So as you guys can see, nicely polished and signed there, beautifully reflective, and it really goes with the tones here. Really that fine reflection from that super tight knit weave there. So very, very impressive. And get it down here, kind of see on my, you know, a little bit further perspective, so it's not a up close wristy where it's going to look really oversized. Really, really nicely done. So let's go ahead and move on to another, a little bit more green in the picture here, with your classic Seiko Alpinist, the SARB 017. Now the nice thing here is you're going to have this tone of this khaki color, and almost kind of a coyote brown, as we used to call it in the Marine Corps, but I think it's going to be you know, by many terms, and more closer to an olive drab by many people's eye. But the nice thing is here, it's going to tie in with the green, but not be overpowering. But it's also, the really nice thing is it's actually going to set off the gold highlights, which I think is just beautiful. And this strap is actually super capable. I mean, it matches kind of that khaki tones, you know, for pants and everything like that. So it takes something that like this, which can be a very polarizing dial with that green and the gold accents, and of course the little red accents as well, and it makes it a lot more wearable, which is really, really great. And then of course you guys can actually notice here the green is actually quite a close match as well. I didn't want to do the green on green just because I feel like that's a little bit niche, if you will. And, you know, I don't think that's something that everybody's looking for to really overpower it. Maybe on St. Actually, today is St. Patty's Day, so maybe I could have done that. But anyways, I think this is just a really, really gorgeous combination. It ties in enough, but it still adds a contrast, while also actually making it somehow more versatile. So really digging that. Let's go ahead and get it on my 7 1/4 inch wrist really quickly here, if I can make it quickly. Of course, I'm reaching around a tripod. So really, again, very simple setup here. Goes right through that fabric keeper and then just fed right back into it. You can do it forward or back. I just tend to always fold things kind of forward so that I can get an idea of kind of how centered that extra tongue is. Now, as you can see, really beautiful, and you can see because of that sheen that these have, it actually is almost like a sunburst type effect, an almost metallic-y feel to these straps. You can see there's the high highlight there, and then you have the darker tones here, which I think really help and really wonderfully tie in to when you do have kind of a multi-tone sunburst dial here. Of course, you can see the darker green, the brighter greens and whatnot. And then you can see that actually happening on the strap itself, where the light is playing with it. You're getting the darker tones with highlights, which is great, versus something that's going to look a lot more flat with you know, your average NATO strap or RAF strap. So I think that's really great what they've done here, and just added extra dimension and a real touch of luxury. So again, these are thicker watches, of course, with 200 meters water resistance. But the nice thing is this doesn't add a lot of height, which is absolutely beautiful. So let's go ahead and move on now to what seems to be the watch of the hour, the Blue Alpinist, US only special edition. And this particular strap is a match made in heaven, which is really great, and really just kind of a wonderful coincidence that I happen to have this strap in, and then also be able to be one of the lucky few people to get my hands on a Blue Alpinist. Now, again, with that really beautiful dial, it's pretty much the same as the green Alpinist here, where it's sunburst, but it actually, the top coat is more matted. So it really helps, again, with that versatility, and that's something that the Alpinist is really well known for, is that wonderful versatility. So you can have kind of the sunburst effect, making it feel a little bit dressier, but then the matte finish to let you know, hey, this is a watch made for functionality, and you know, definite legibility. So this is really beautiful. And then you have the tones again, and then as you can see here, as I twist and turn, you know, you can see how that gray gets darker, right? There's some, the way you see that, you get that nice light play with that, and the gray with the sheen. You get the deep dark grays, you know, and then you also get the brighter silvery tones, which is absolutely gorgeous. This thing just ties in so nicely, just a splash of color, not super overpowering where you're going to go like with a blue on blue. And then of course it just adds more, a little bit more of a dimension than if you were to say go with just the Admiralty gray, where it's definitely a really nice choice, but you know, I'd say a bit you know, more subdued. So it's really nice to kind of have a little bit of that contrast also making its way onto the wrist. And then of course, if you're wearing some type of patterned shirt or something like that, it definitely also helps stylistically, I think, just to add a little bit more complexity to the color play that's on there. So let's go ahead and get this on wrist, on my 7¼ inch wrist. And I'll just feed this through here. And as you can see, again, that really nice hardware there, nice and solid. And the nice thing to mention is, of course, functionality-wise, what's great about a strap that slides under is if you have a spring bar failure, essentially you're still going to have a spring bar hanging on here and the bracelet isn't disengaged, versus a two-piece strap or, you know, one-piece strap that might loop back through the other way and doesn't come in underneath the case. Basically, the strap is going to stay on your wrist and the watch is going to stay connected to the strap, which means that you just have an extra layer of security. But as you can see, we'll go ahead and get it back down here. You can look at that. That thing is really nice. Maybe a little bit loud, maybe a little too colorful for a lot of people's tastes. But me personally, I think that plays really, really well and off of those wonderful tones. And then the nice thing is the blue even has a bit, as you can see, a little bit of color play to it as well. But it's actually a little bit more matted, which is nice because it gives it actually a bit of contrast. It almost feels a bit three-dimensional because the blue is more constant because of the more matted finish, while the gray is actually has more of a sheen to it. So as the light plays on it, you can see the blue almost stands out. I don't know if the camera's gonna be able to pick that up, but basically you can see the blue feels the same almost, you know, with just a slight shadow to it, but there's a really high contrast on the silver, which I think really, really pops. So I'll actually leave that on for the rest here, and then what we'll do is actually take a look at some of these. Of course, your classic black, which I think would really suit any occasion. Super nice, can be, again, dressing up and dressing down. You're dressing down because of the feel and the weight and the texture here, but you're also dressing up because of that sheen and that gorgeous finishing, the high polished buckle. Really nicely done. And then let's move on to, of course, you got your Bond two-striper here. Really nice. I mean, you have something that's going to be, you know, you have that vintagey loom and anything like that. That's really going to tie into kind of that Bond style, mill sub style. Really gorgeous here, and I think it's going to set this off. You guys have seen many combinations of this type of strap. But the nice thing here is you're going to get something that's really premium and supple at not that higher cost. You know, you'll see stuff that's really using the same type of materials, you know, in that $30 and up range, which is you know, a lot more expensive. And here you're getting that really beautiful, supple material for a lot less. And then this is probably the most versatile one we're going to see in this pack. You know, it has that great Admiralty gray style, maybe a touch brighter than the Admiralty gray, which almost has like a slight blue tone to it. But this is definitely going to be your kind of go-to to make something feel more militant and really kind of that vintagey vibe, which is where the solid black isn't going to give you that. It's going to be feeling a little bit more contemporary. You can add this even to a monochrome setup, you know, a black diver, or an everyday watch, you know, and I think even with a black dial, this just sets it off. And of course, it's something that's going to match with everything because, you know, it's a gray color, which matches with steel. So if you have a steel case, that's going to go great here. And now you're adding all of that gorgeous, as you can see, that color play. You can see these 2 points of darkness there. So adding a lot of great dimension from there. Then here we have a, you know, just this beautiful blue, and look at that, probably the most evident when it comes to the color play here. with the way the sheen really dances off of the material there. As you can see, really nicely done. A little quick shot of the keeper and the loop. Really solid feeling, but at the same time, super supple, super soft. And look at those tones. If you have blued hands on, you know, a Bauhaus style watch or something like that, this is the perfect kind of backdrop for it, because it's going to have the high points, the low points, where it's going to look very dark and subdued, and then the light's going to catch and pop, as you can see, just like on, you know, thermally blued handsets. So I think that's really beautiful. Here we do have pretty much kind of like the reverse a model here. It's actually kind of a brighter tone of a silver, and then of course the red, and you can see the red is absolutely electric here, and it again, it offers that same type of contrast where the sheen on the silvery color is actually much more evident and high contrast than the red, which seems to be very solid, so it almost looks like it's glowing and kind of emitting a real brightness to it, which is really nice. So you got something with red text on the dial, you know, different types of straps like that. Different types of watches with red accents. I think this is going to really play well, and you know, kind of be the yin to the yang here of the blue model. And you know what, you can see here, they are a slightly different shade, so there's just been thought that's been put into this, which I like, you know, versus them kind of cutting a corner, saving a buck, and really just kind of reusing a lot of similar things. They actually have, you know, put some time to making sure that everything absolutely is purposeful and just beautifully crafted. So, you know, really beautiful here, as you guys can see on the wrist. This thing just lights up, you know, and it's great because you get the color play from the dial there, and then you can turn your wrist, and you're still getting actually some really nice light works there. And you know, you don't necessarily need a metal strap to play with the light there and get a little bit of visual interest on the wrist. So I think that's really great. I actually wore this piece yesterday. You know, this combination, it was great. And this, of course, this Alpinist is a strap monster, as kind of every other Alpinist before it has been, but I think it's even more versatile because of that blue dial, which I think killer choice, killer touch. We'll see what Seiko does as far as extending this line out any further or not, but I gotta say, really impressed overall, and definitely keep an eye out on the channel for the full review and comparison. But in this for this one, you know, I gotta say, these MKS straps, really great, and I think this is kind of their top offering when it comes to their lineup with these one-piece, very luxurious and affordable somehow NATO one-piece kind of raft straps. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. What type of color combinations were you guys looking for? Is there something that they don't offer that you want to let the brand know, hey, maybe they should? You know, I think probably the only thing they could offer apart from their offerings right now would be like pairs. You know, if you could buy a pack of 3 to 5 and maybe even save more money, which is crazy because you're kind of already getting the bulk discount and you can buy them in 1s and 2s, which is pretty great. So with that said, if you like the video, please do hit like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.